Hello, all. Good morning. Welcome to two-day APAC virtual BFSI Finnovation Conclave, in which we are going to see presence of policymakers, thought makers, CXO community from the BFSI sector, along with industry leaders and startup innovators. For next 2 days, we are going to discuss on various aspects of leveraging technology and innovation for the BFSI sector. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? But for the inaugural session, we have special guests from the various states of the country. Those are policymakers, and we have a special guest from the state of UP. We have with us Mr. Samir Verma, Senior IS Officer, who is the Special Secretary of Finance, Government of Uttar Pradesh. We welcome Mr. Samir Verma. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Pleasure. So, my first question to you will be that when we talk about the investment opportunities in the state of Uttar Pradesh, where do you see the investment opportunities are there, and what's your thought on that?
Uttar Pradesh is one of the states which is rising and which is marching ahead to fulfill the goal of the country itself. And since last few years, the government of Uttar Pradesh has come up with so many policies which may be helping in attracting investment from all over the country and all over the world. I would like to name few of them, like we have electronic vehicles policy, EV policy, solar panel policies, and investment promotion policies. We also have decided that anything which is above the limit of 200 crore, only global bidding will be there. The government is very keen day and night. We are formulating policies in the consultation of the industry's big bosses, what actually the industry is requiring, what they are looking and what they want from us. And that's why we are working on that. We especially have a setup called Invest UP. And you must be pleased that even during the COVID period, we were able to attract to the tune of around 65,000 crore investment in UP itself. And as you know, that I would like to defer this and divert this discussion towards the Union Budget 2022-23, which was presented on the 1st of Feb to the tune of around 40 lakhs crore this year. I think we are gearing up ourselves because what was the motive of the government of India to enter into the Amrit Kal, where we would like to see our country at the 100th years of independence. So we are also working at the state with that motive only. And especially that mission Gati Shakti, we already are formulating plan. Rather, we have named it at State Gati Shakti, where we are bringing all the departments which are associated with this mission on a single platform. Another very ambitious mission for us is to bring a drone policy. Very soon we will be coming up with a drone policy because it was the announcement in the central budget this year. Along with that, we are working very meticulously on the digitization of the services, especially the services which are for the public, for the industry, and for other. You might have come to know about a portal, single window portal at the central government. That is Parivesh. Its name is Parivesh. Rather, we launched it with the name of Nivesh Mitra 2 years back in Uttar Pradesh. That is a single window clearance system. And because you know that along with the holding the portfolio of a Special Secretary Finance, I am also the Registrar of Societies of Uttar Pradesh. So my department as Registrar plays a crucial role in Nivesh Mitra also. If you want to start a firm in a state, you first have to apply through that window itself. And the first step is to get the clearance from the Registrar office. First, you need to get your firm registered. So during Nivesh Mitra portal, we have disposed around 3 lakh applications till now within a specified time limit, no delays, nothing. Now, as far as the investment is concerned, the biggest part of the investment involves is the land issue. So for the first time, we are also going to digitize and map all over the state our land assets. There are so many lands which are under the proprietorship of different departments. In UP, what we have started doing, suppose there is irrigation department and they are having a large pool of land which is unutilized. We are bringing in other departments also so that the same land pool can be utilized by more than one department. So that is one thing. Second thing is that, like you must have heard about the defense corridor. So for that also, the land pooling and the land acquisition process, it has gone very smoothly. We are also refurbishing and revamping our state industrial societies, state industry. So UP, and another thing I would like to add here, for any state to attract investment, to bring in and entrepreneurs, land order situation is very important. And One who is bringing money into your state, they also want assurance that whether their money will be safe or not, whether they will be able to earn interest and whether they will be able to earn profit on their investment or not. So all these indicators which are working together in a cohesive manner, they are making very favorable environment for the state to bring in investment. And I would like to feature here that in the ease of doing business ranking, UP was earlier at 12th rank, and now we have secured the second position in the country. In ease of living, which is a new indicator launched 2 years back by the government of India, we are also working hard in that. During the COVID period, I think everybody knows that the first unit which moved out of China, they selected Agra in Uttar Pradesh, and the production has also started in there. Film City is also coming in UP. We are not challenging Bollywood, but we will be making it own state-of-the-art film city, which will be attracting all over the world filmmakers and creative people from all over the world. Data center we are already making. Expressway UP is, have gathered a fame that being the expressway state. 5 expressways together. Two of them are already functioning and work is already on three of them. ODOP, one district, one product. This year's from the union budget, they have also come up with one station, one product kind of thing. So that is one. And you must be also pleased that we, from state of UP in the last financial year, we have been able to make business of around 90,000 crore only through ODOP. And if we talk about like SDG sustainable goals, why I am talking about all these things, because all these factors, these small steps and these small factors, they make a positive atmosphere environment for the investment attraction. Like SDG goals, one of the most important goal, the goal number 8 in the SDG sustainable goal is that financial inclusion. How you are going to incorporate large population of the state into the formal banking system and the formal digital transaction system. I'm very happy to share with you the features and the facts that during the financial year 21-22, there were more than 380 crore digital transactions only in UP. Until September, we have crossed the limit of 184 crore digital transactions. So who is saying the UP is not marching ahead? It is marching ahead. Rather, in most of the cases, we are way ahead with other states. The COVID management, like what we have done here in our state, being the most populous state, if you go by the data, if you go by the number of COVID cases and the number of deaths, we are far be it attractive policies, be it the support of the government, be it the single window system clearance, be it the adoption of technology, be it the financial inclusion, and the states itself preparedness and readiness to welcome the entrepreneurs, to welcome the industry, and to welcome the investors. We are here and we are here to push the country and we are here to give the country a positive thrust.
Giving country a positive thrust. Thank you so much, Samir Verma, for your initial insights on the overall investment opportunities. And you talked about the financial inclusion part as well. Next question was supposed to be on financial inclusion, because when we talk about investment pouring in the state, what about spending some amount of that investment for the betterment of the society, of the people who are staying in the last mile, we may say the poorer section of society? So you talked about financial inclusion. You also happens to be the special secretary of finance. In terms of planning, budget, everything, where do you see UP or the state of Uttar Pradesh is going towards for next 5 years down the line? That how can the financial inclusion can be more effective, so that the benefits of the government programs and benefits of the government allocation goes to the last mile. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
See, there are a few small examples I would like to begin with. Like you started your narrative with this state budget. Okay, since last 2 years, we are completely paperless budget. We have provided laptops and we have provided iPads to our honorable MLAs, and the whole budget is paperless. It is uploaded on the app also. It is uploaded on the site also, and everybody can see it. Even in the assembly, the MLAs, they open their iPad and they can go through the budget. So that is a paperless budget which we have done. Now, as far as the last mile, that achievement is concerned, this PFMS system and this online transaction system, are you in a better word or in a very simple word, if we say the direct benefit transfer system, at the click of the mouse, we are able to transfer thousands and thousands of crores directly into the accounts of the beneficiaries. And UP has been doing this direct benefit transfer system in many schemes and in many departments, like this Pradhan Mantri Swanidhi Yojana or the Man Shram Yojana, in which the farmers are given 6,000 rupees in a year, 2,000 rupees installment three times in a year. That is also through the this DBT system. You also know that recently the RBI and the central government, they have come up with the plan that there will be an SNA account, state nodal agency account, because in the CSS schemes in which the states are also supposed to give their give their contribution. For that state nodal agency account, that also has to be there. We are there in UP having the female member as the head of the account. Number one. Number two, how many ATM branches are there over 1 lakh population? How many now we have come up with a with an idea of banking sakhi. More than 20,000 banking sakhis are working. Now, what these banking sakhis they are doing, they are giving you doorstep banking services at least 5 hours, 6 hours a day, 4 days in a week. 40 type of banking services, including opening of account, closing of account, FD, withdrawal, everything that is available at the doorstep in the rural area in the in Uttar Pradesh. Now, you must be also as amused by knowing this fact that the number of ATM branches, they are actually coming down in UP. Why? Because we are marching ahead towards the digital transaction. Everybody is doing digital transaction using their app, using their phone, be it Beam API or be it some other medium. We are marching ahead. Then this digital transaction, the figure of digital transaction, we already have shared with you. Number of banking branches, be it formal or be it informal. The idea is to provide them formal banking system. Take the account, take the number of Jan Dhan accounts opened in UP. Take the number of digital transactions done in UP. Take the number of ODOP products which are being made by small MSMEs in the UP, and the tune to the amount which they are doing business. 90,000 crore in a year is not a small number. And that is also, and that is possible only because this financial inclusion thing, and in a very steady and a very calculative and a very meticulous way, which we are marching ahead towards that.
You talked about the financial inclusion part, and there also I found that a lot of things have been done because of the presence of technology. All these things have been done, could have been done because of the technology. You talked about the digital transfer of money, digital transactions, ATMs going down, the number of ATMs going down, which is a good sign because the more and more people are using digital transactions. In this event today and tomorrow, there are a lot of fintech innovators who are present in the audience, also a speaker. What will be your message for them that if you want to collaborate with the government of UP, especially for financial sector, in terms of technology or digital innovation, what will be your message for them, sir?
See, this technology area, it is touching almost everyone's life in almost every sector. Even in the union budget this year, a lot of focus was on that. What we are planning, we are focusing on agri fintech. When the financial technology, uh, take education department for example, we are planning to make digital universities. We are planning to make digital classrooms and completely digital schools, especially the government schools, which are supposed to be not having that kind of infrastructure and all. We are using technology in almost all the sectors. You must be knowing that we already have started this digital library system in so many government schools. Last year, when we started this scheme of Abhyuday, where we were providing coaching classes to the poor people and the children who do not have access to the costly coaching institutes to get their dreams come true. For them, we started Abhyuday, and along with that, we started the digital classroom and digital library, where you have all the contents at a click of the button. We are focusing mostly on agriculture sector, how the use of technology along with the drone, the crop mapping, how your the transaction and when you sell your crop and when or your produce, how you are going to get that money. A small point I would like to mention here. You know that almost every state, they do this procurement on MSP of wheat and rice, and depends on what state had selected for what crops. We have started this POP system, point of purchase system, EPOP system, where when you are going to purchase or when you are going to sell your crop, at both the times you will be required to do it digitally, where your Aadhaar card is associated with our with your identity, and by that itself we have been able to stop a leakage of more than 20,000 crore, more than 20,000 crore, and more than 30,000 fake IDs of farmers which were used to doing these business of selling wheat and paddy at the government procurement sectors, that have been stopped. So that is how we are using technology in every sector. This fair price shop, this system where one country, one ration card, and from where anywhere you can get your ration card. We are working in that. We are working in agriculture sector. We are working in this financial sector. However, this data center which we are coming up in the western part of UP, in Greater Noida, possibly that will be one of the major game changer in the whole North India, because that is going to be the biggest data center. So definitely down the line, say how I look UP in the next 5 years, it's going to be brighter and brighter.
That's your take on how UP is going to look like after 5 years. I'll end with one more question: that what's your take on the future of BFSI sector in India, with special focus on leveraging technology innovation? Quickly, if you can share your thoughts on that, sir.
Yeah, future of BFI sector, I think you were talking about.
Future of banking, financial services, insurance sector in India, when we talk about leveraging technology innovation.
Right. See, as far as banking and finance
Overall,
is
overall,
concerned,
not
yeah,
only
of course.
overall. As a policymaker, your thoughts on that, sir.
Yeah. See, banking, finance, our economy. These are the three things which are never going to be fade out. Because dealing with economy, dealing with budget, dealing with finance, it starts with your household, and it goes up to the level of state and up to the level of country and international level. Financing is everything. Managing with the budget is everything. Managing with the capital is everything. Technology, it has become an inseparable part of all these things, and I think the future, for not only for UP, but see, why in most of the cases I am saying that we will be giving the positive thrust to the country itself, because in almost all the programs we are trying to maximize our benefit from the central government policies. So we will not be working in silos. We will be working in coordination with the central government. So not only for the country, for the UP, but for all the states, this infusion of technology into the banking, financial, and insurance sector, that is going to be more penetrative, more effective in the years to come. The government, the central government policies regarding insurance sectors, they are helping people like anything. Like if I say regarding myself, my example is that I ported my health policy recently last month from one of the service provider to the another service provider, because the facility is there, right? In the same way, banking sector, I do not think that I visited my bank branch. I haven't been visited it since last 6 or 8 months. I've been doing all the banking transactions on my mobile itself, and it is penetrating to the last line in the society. So this sector, it is challenging. The biggest thing is that how you are going to secure that digital transaction thing, how you are going to secure that data which is generated there, how you are going to deal with the problem of big data which is generated because of these digital transactions, and all the people log in and making their mirror images there and making their data there. So these are the issues. But as the problems come, and if the goal is clear, if the road is clear, then solutions are also there. So I think that this BFSI sector, this is the future, and nobody can deny that.
Right, right. I think the future of BFSI sector vis-a-vis technology innovation is bright, and is only going to get brighter in coming years. Thank you so much, Sri Samir Verma, IS Officer, Special Secretary of Finance Department, also the Registrar of Firms and Societies, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you so much for joining us in the inaugural of APAC two-day virtual BFSI Innovation Conclave. But before we let you go, sir, we have a small token of appreciation for you. We want to present you with the BFSI Leadership Award for your role in the financial administration sector. It is our honor to recognize your efforts, sir. This is the award certificate, APEC BFSI Innovation Leadership Award. We are proud to recognize your effort for your leadership role in the financial administration domain. Thank you so much, Mr. Verma, for joining us in the inaugural. With this, we move to the next speaker of the inaugural keynote session. We have with us Mr. Amit Saxena, CTO of RBI Innovation Hub, who will be sharing his thoughts on technology and innovation for the BFSI sector. Thank you, Mr. Samirama. Thank you so much for joining us today. With
Thank you
this, we
so
move
much
to
for
the
having
next
me.
speaker.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Now we are joined by a special guest, a BFSI technology leader, if I say so. We have with us Mr. Amit Saxena, Chief Technology Officer of Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. We are here at the two-day BFSI Finnovation Conclave organized by APAC News Network. We are here in the inaugural keynote session. Thank you so much, Mr. Amit, for joining us today for this inaugural session.
Thank you very much, Souvik, for having me today on to this session.
Pleasure to have you. My first question to you will be that for a highly regulated sector like BFSI, how did digital technologies help institutions in managing digitization during the pandemic and subsequently in the new normal? Your take on that?
Right, and Souvik, digitization is inevitable, right? So all the BFSI, and it has nothing to do with BFSI as a sector. If you would see, most of the companies have used new digital technologies when it comes for offering their services, because during pandemic time, most of the services are not available, right? So people have to move to a new technology platforms wherein they have to give their services, because services are still needed by all the customer itself. So if you see, and that's a great step. And if you see in BFSI sector in last 2 years, you would see new initiatives have been taken by banks with respect to payments, lending, ease of doing a KYC, opening their accounts itself. You would see host of services which have been provided by the banks itself. Having said that, that was the initial step, right? So in the coming years, what you would see, new things which banks are working upon, right? So they are working on account aggregator, they are working on lending solutions, they are working on multiple host of such solutions which would be needed by customer itself. So they have not stopped themselves over there only in the pandemic, but they are moving forward. So you would see that digitization of banking would inevitable kind of a thing, and you would see in coming years most of the banks would be moving one arm or the another technology providers who would be providing this technology to the banks so that they can provide digital solutions to their customer itself.
Right. Taking cue from what you said, that if you see the BFSI sector as a whole, we have seen that BFSI sector uh, has been in the forefront of leveraging technology. One of the early starters of embracing technology for the BFSI sector. If you see last 15 years journey in India, uh, where do you see the role of emerging technologies coming into play in terms of transforming the BFSI sector, be it blockchain, crypto, and so many other things are there? Do you think that Indian banking industry or the BFSI sector as a whole is embracing that new technology in the right spirit, or do you think that many more things are there to be achieved?
So there's a lot of talks which have happened with respect to emerging technology, and I won't touch upon a specific technology, platform itself, but you would see much and more usage of artificial intelligence and machine learning coming into play for the back end processing of data itself, right? Virtual reality, people are taking, baby steps as of now, but you would see a virtual reality, because given the number of cycles of this pandemic which have occurred in our country itself, people are preparing themselves that they should be able to provide a virtual reality kind of a experience to a customer itself. With respect to that, they should be able to see the offerings from the banks itself, and especially, and I talk it from a not from a BFSI, but NBFC and fintechs also, right? So you would see there are a lot of offering which would be coming into a play going forward, and at the same time, you would see some of a very path-breaking solutions which would come into picture. If you see that currently we have got like what 57% of our country does not have a smartphone. They still work on a feature phone, right? So there is some solution which needs to be offered to all these people also, right? The same goes for the ladies in our country, they should have an access to lending itself, right? And most of these ladies are working in a rural area, and we have to see what kind of a solution. And we have, you have to embrace the new technology to reach the last mile itself. And what you would see in coming days, and you touched upon blockchain, it's something which is being talked a lot itself, and we would see some work being done into that area also.
Right, right, right. Uh, what will be the role of digitization if we talk about enhancing customer experience or streamlining operation in the BFSI sector? Where do you see BFSI sector going in terms of digitization for enhancing customer experience or streamlining the operation? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line.
So we are not talking of that long a horizon itself, right? So 2 years max itself, you would see all the banks in the country, and we are not talking of banks only who are large banks. You would see NBFC, you would see cooperative banks. They are already working on embracing all such digital technologies. You would see that because customer experience have come in central stage, give or take itself, right? So it has become a center stage. Otherwise, there are a lot of people who would be providing quick and easy access to banking services through a fintech sector, or you would see new solutions coming into a payment sector or lending sector. So banks are very aware of this, and you would see that banks would move very quickly, because whatever time it may take, but they are not going to wait for another 3 years of a time, because this is something which is the core banking area for all the banks itself. And I'm very hopeful that all the banks in our country, our banking system is a very strong banking system. If you see all across the world, you would see one of the finest banking system is available in our country itself, right? Most of the countries do not allow a lot of features what we provide to a customer through a banking, or through an internet or a mobile banking service. And you would see all such things would be become a de facto norm, wherein all banks would be providing such services. And just to give you an example, right? So video KYC, if you see, it was done by a couple of banks earlier. Now you see every bank is giving a video KYC service. The same would happen, and it was considered a very path breaking kind of a thing. How come a people can do a video KYC using a banking service without visiting a branch itself? Now all banks provide that service. So banks are embracing all new technologies, and you would see it would become a common denominator of all such services would be provided by all banks across the spectrum itself, whether small or big itself, it does not matter.
Right. At the same time, we also have to be aware of the fact that when we talk about the technology, we're talking about a lot of data being generated, being analyzed, and all those things. But what about the data security part? Because there's apprehension about the cyber threats, all these things. Do you think that our banking system or the BFSI sector ecosystem is well prepared to counter the threats of cyber crime and all those things, or do you
I
think
would,
that something more needs to be done?
Shavik, I would tell you the threat vectors are increasing every day itself. It's not like this that yeah, all banks have to be a step ahead of all those threat vectors which come in from cybersecurity aspect itself, right?
Especially
So
for the BFSI sector, that's why I asked you.
So those threat vectors are common for BFSI also, right? So, and most of the banks are very well prepared. They have got a very strong team led by their CISOs itself, and they are very well informed itself about different threat vectors which are trying to engage. But at the same time, what we have seen that the customer, you know knowledge should be enhanced itself. So most of the banks have to run that you do should not respond to a SMS which is an unsolicited SMS, right? Or do not click onto a link and try getting into a trap of, or somebody calling you on the pretext of some bank and saying that we would like to do one thing or another thing for your bank account, right? All such. And as more and more people would become aware of such things, you would see that this threat would start decreasing. But at the same time, I would say that most of the banks run a very robust system of for uh, for securing their data itself. So they are lot of policies which are regulator have provided that how banks should act with respect to the data itself, and most of the banks comply to it because that's something they have to comply to. And at the same time, I would reiterate this point that customer knowledge needs to be enhanced with respect to, and we have got a lot of people who are talking on different forums trying to tell all our countrymen that what you should do, what you should not do. Please do not take up unsolicited emails or SMS. And I believe, but BFSI as a sector as a whole, they seem to be well prepared as of now. There can be a one or two cases, but those are loner cases. They are not with respect to the ecosystem. Ecosystem stands very strong with respect to all these threat vectors.
Right. Amit Saxena is the CTO of Reserve Bank Innovation Hub, and name of this event is BFSI Finnovation Conclave, Financial Innovation. So I cannot stop myself from asking you this question: that where do you see the future of BFSI sector in India vis-a-vis technological innovation? What kind of innovations you're seeing that will be more dominant in coming years or so?
So we are not looking at a particular innovation, but we stand for three things, which is innovation, inclusion, and impact itself. So innovation, we are looking at that we are very open to partner with startups and fintechs in our country who have got a good solution. You are most welcome to approach me, drop me an email, and then we would revert back to you if your solution is very good, right? So we would look at those solutions. Inclusion is something which we are very passionate about. The last mile banking services should be made available to every person in the country itself, right? And the impact, when we say that the solution or a fintech should provide a solution, or a startup should provide a solution which would have a large impact like UPI in the whole country itself. So that's where we come in from, and that's what we want people to understand. And this is along with the technology itself. So most of the, and this is my request to all the fintechs and startup who would be listening to me over this channel, that when you do some research on trying to understand what's needed by banks, because banks have got a very secure uh, security standards are pretty tough, and when you build in a solution, it becomes like, and you feel a bit backed up when somebody asks you those questions with respect to security, right? So we would like to enable you building such solutions. We would be ready to help you out, and you are most welcome to approach me.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Amit Saxena. I'll take your parting words as the crux of this discussion for last 15 minutes or so, that innovation, inclusion, and impact. I think those three things will be very important for see the transformation happening in the BFSI sector in years to come. Thank you so much, Mr. Amit Saxena, for joining us in the inaugural keynote session of the two-day APEC virtual BFSI Innovation Conclave. And before I let you go, we have a small token of appreciation for you. We want to present you with the BFSI Leadership Award. Can we have the certificate on screen, please? It's our honor to recognize your efforts as the pioneering role you've been playing in the innovation and technology leadership role in the BFSI sector. Thank you so much for joining us today. This
Thank you
award
so much.
presented to Mr. Amit Saxena, CTO, Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. With this, we move to the next speaker of the inaugural session. Keep watching APEC BFSI Innovation Conclave. Thank you so much. And now we have a special guest from GSTN. We have with us Mr. Bhuwan Joshi, who is the Vice President of GSTN. He looks after the enterprise architect. We welcome Mr. Bhuwan Joshi. Thank you so much for joining us in the inaugural of APEC Virtual Two-Day Innovation Conclave, BFSI Innovation Conclave. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Souvik, giving me opportunity to have a discussion with you and presenting our system to outside world. So this is really nice of you.
I'm sure that people who are present here today will be eager to know the insights of GST and how it works, especially with the technological aspects. So my first question to you will be that what are the salient features of GST and enterprise architecture you would like to highlight?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to tell you that this is one of the most complex and the new gen indirect tax system across the world. So when we started this journey, it was because we have started very late. If you look at we just started GST regime in 2017, right? So this system has to be next gen system. So we basically we took help of a lot of people who architected Aadhaar and took a lot of feedback from internet scale companies like we contacted with Yahoo, we contacted with Facebook. So we understood that how they work on a scale, right? So based on that, we decided our architecture. So this architecture is completely microservice based architecture, which is now a buzzword. But at that time, there was very few companies who were on that platform, and not only microservice based architecture. At that time, we thought of a containerized solution, so that so combination of this gave us the flexibility, one, to develop a system in phases and as a service. So our approach from the start was that we built is like a platform like Facebook or Twitter, where they not only provide you service but are open APIs through which you can integrate the services with your application. And like any of the you might have seen application where you can go and do a tweet, right? From their application you can do a tweet, right? So this way, they have ensured is not only you come to that platform for doing any work, but you can integrate with your own system also. So this has made like WhatsApp. If you look at right now, WhatsApp can be integrated very easily with any of the business application. So same philosophy we have adopted, and we have created our complete system based on that principle. So if you look at every feature which is there present there in our system is API based, RESTful API. So right now, as GST portal is basically consuming these features, it can be consumed by any of other third party application, be it government or private. And it gives me immense pleasure that right now around more than 300 ASP and GSPs are using these APIs and providing various tax compliances across the to a lot of taxpayers. So this has given us flexibility two ways. One is that we have a varied spectrum of taxpayer with us, right? On one hand, we have taxpayers who have more than 10 lakh invoices in a month, right? And then on the other hand, we have very small uh, SMEs who basically does only 50, 40, 10 invoices upload, right? So if you think, so you cannot create a solution which cater to all the needs of one, right? Because for the small guys, what they want is they want that system should be very simple. You just upload and this give you a feedback. But if I look at a 10 lakh person, 10 lakh upload people, they will want everything to be done through system to system, right? They will not come on our portal, upload invoice one by one, right? It will be a humongous task for them. So this variety of taxpayers has forced us to create such kind of platform that we can give service to each and every customer, and the API is the right route. So we have provided our portal for all SMEs or any other person who want to come on the portal. If people want to integrate, like large companies, they want to integrate directly, they have the open APIs, they can come and integrate with us. So this has given us immense flexibility and also make the system very scalable. And I would like to share with some stats which will be very interesting to know that right now we are processing around 1.5 crore invoices per 1.5 crore returns we are processing per month on end of the quarter. And we basically process around 30 crore invoices per month. Total we have around 1500 crore invoices right in our system. It's around 800 petabytes of data we have right now. So we have processed till now more than 41 crore returns. So there are various figures I can give you on and on, because and you know that now initially we had some trouble, teething trouble, as every in such a massive scale system phase. But now we are pretty stabilized, and you can see the revenues, collections, and all those things. Right now, GST system is not. I mean, it's basically people are praising that now it's become very stable.
Right, right. My second question was on how GSTN is leveraging the concept of open AI, API-based platform. You have already answered that, but I'll
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
cue from what you have said about the data, the huge and humongous amount of data you're dealing with. You means GSTN is dealing with every month.
Hmm.
You gave the statistics about that. So how far the data driven decision making is being leveraged uh, using big data technologies in the GSTN ecosystem?
Okay. Oh, that's a very interesting question, and I would like to answer it in two phases. So, if you look at any tech system, this is basically, if we talk about a tech system, mainly we think that okay, there will be some government official who will be using this data and basically churning out who are the tech. I mean, just getting the insight to get more and more revenue. But here in GST system, our approach is twofold. We wanted to use this data also for user to giving user a lot of flexibility. Like I can give you some examples. Like we have given comparison of data, like what you file in GSTR1, what you file in GSTR3B, what is the difference it shows to you, and then it also gives you a basically chart that how you are utilizing your ITC. So all these things, not only, and on the back end I will tell you that tax officer is already leveraging it for various purposes, and in the news you might be hearing that there are so many fraudulent activities are getting caught, and system has a larger role to play on that. But on the taxpayer side, which I want to just bring to your notice, this is basically people do not talk about it, but we have given a lot of these functionality on the front end, like auto computed data, which we are giving right now, auto populated returns. So more and more such humongous data we are doing churning at the background and giving user a lot of things upfront, so that later on there is no issues in reconciliation. You might be knowing that there is a provision for a yearly return also, right, where they do all the reconciliation. So we are giving automated report that what is there in system, and user can easily match and do the reconciliation. On the backend side, we are using it for fraudulent activities, doing taxpayer 360 view, so that tax officer can quickly pick up only those guys where they have some suspicion. Otherwise most of the people will go through the green channel. So idea is to use this data, give more insight to taxpayer, so that he himself can correct data, right? It may also happen that sometime he is not aware that there are discrepancy happening, because system is doing a lot of churning at the background and giving his feedback immediately that boss, there is a mismatch, you please look after it, so that there is no further assessment and inquiries. So this way, and you know that right now e-invoice data, all these are giving, it's a very good indicator of our economic activities also. So all this data churning at the back end, leveraging big data technologies, we are helping both government and taxpayers.
Right. I'll stick to this point. And I'll ask a question again related to this, that as I was asking you, that considering the humongous amount of data that the GSTN is using, how are you using the open source architecture? And especially when we talk about the open source architecture, the cybersecurity is also very important. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are 2 points to it, right? If we talk about open source technologies, so GST system, almost 99% stack, software stack is on open source. So we don't use any proprietary technologies. We are completely on open source. So this gives us two, three flexibility. One is that we work on commodity hardware, so our cost remains low. We are not paying for licenses, only support we pay. So this way we can scale very very fast with very less cost. Second is, because of this open API, it basically open ecosystem is evolving very fast, so we can leverage those fast innovation into our systems, right? And third part is, they, because of open system, they also develop their system as open API, so we can integrate those things and do a lot of automation, which we are right now doing on the background. As far as security goes, so security is one of the key element right from the design, right from the start of this project. So if you look at what we have done is, so basically right from the infrastructure layer security, where we are putting a lot of firewalls, all new age tools which are available in the market. That is one part we are doing infrastructure level. Second is, we have designed it at a layered architecture, where our system, core system, which has all the data, which does the processing and keep the data, that is only on the inner layer. So suppose there's a first layer where it is interacting with users. Second layer, which is, we created a web layer which only talks to core layer, which is which is where basically your system data reside. So in a way, 3 4 layer of security we have already layering we have built in, and in each and every layer we have built in all physical security, so that only upper layer can talk to the lower layer. So you cannot have your front end layer directly talk to your core layer. So this way we have created a lot of layers around it. So this gives one security and a lot of access control tools, all those normal things we have already done. As far as data encryption goes, our data we are following two approaches. One is transport layer security is very common, which through HTTPS, so that is okay. But we are also doing payload encryption. So if we interact with any of the GSP or ASP, with that third party application, all our payload is also encrypted. So, and we have created a unique framework ourselves. It is designed by GST itself, GST system, where it gives you a API based approach where you can exchange key and do the encryption. And it's very, very fast. And and it is working fantastically well. So it is our homegrown thing. So in a way, if you look at security, we have taken care of by doing these activities: encryption plus physical level security, and obviously access control, PAM, basically anonymization. So a lot of techniques we have used to secure the data.
If I just take an example of GSTs, which is being used in some other countries like France, Singapore, Malaysia, China. If we talk about the enterprise architecture as a whole for the GSTN system, because what we are using and what they're using, there's a difference, right? So where do you rate India's GSTN network compared to these countries which are using GST or some other form of GST in terms of the digital innovation they're leveraging or the enterprise architecture? Do you think it's quite similar to them, or India has its own method of doing it?
So I, whatever my limited knowledge is, what I have learned, I mean, read about their system is, we have two three things very unique from their system. One is that our processing in instant. So what happens here is, you give me a payload, I will instantly process it and give you a feedback whether your return is correct or not filed. All the checks we do almost in real time, which is not, I think it is not there anywhere, right? Second is a very open architecture, which is very unique to India. It started with Aadhaar and now with UPI and then this GST system. So this is very unique where anybody can develop without any, basically their technology constraint is not there, right? Most of the system, what they will do is they will take that system built, they will work with two three vendors and they will certify, okay, this is the product, that is the product you take, and then you explore it. But here our system is anybody can develop, right? We have these open standards, you follow that, you follow the security guidelines, you follow some of the guidelines which we provide, and you develop system. So in a way, this is quite unique. Second is a feature where any, and the buyer can also see the data. This is also very very unique. So if you I mean, if we discuss about, there is one outward supply. So suppose a seller is selling to a person A, seller is selling to B, right? So seller will upload his invoice and B will in the real time will see that some data is come to it. So it is very very unique, right? So suppose I am selling to you, you can immediately know that you have uploaded some data on my behalf into a system, and then you can get ITC. So this is also very very unique to our system. So if you look at, because we have also an advantage, right? We are 2000, millennium system, and all these systems are all legacy systems. So that advantage we have. But I would say rate our system very very high. I mean, it's like a next generation system. They are aspiring to become something like us.
That's quite heartening to know. And uh, if I may ask you that before we end this portion of this inaugural session, what is your overall thought on the innovation being happening in the financial sector in India? We have come a long way and long way to go, I know,
Yeah, yeah,
but where do you see India 5 years down the line in terms of the Finnovation? The name of this event is BFSI Finnovation Conclave. So the innovation in the BFSI sector, where do you see we are going or we are marching?
I think
Toward?
we are now, we started as a, I mean, novice to it, but within 5 years or so, what we have achieved is phenomenal in payment. If you see with the UPI, a person can transfer 10 rupees, 5 rupees, 2 rupees, right, without any cost. So you cannot imagine in the world, and people are following us now. Similarly, in the tax front, or so any of the new age government system which were coming up. So the scale, the the way we are opening our APIs, we're creating ecosystem. I think we are moving ahead the curve. and probably sooner or later people will follow us and come to us for advice. I think some of the countries are already coming to us for UPI. Similarly for GST system also, we have get very good compliments from the outside world, and probably people will obviously, once we mature, basically it's a very small time, right? If you look at any this kind of complex system, only 5-year old, right? So it's a very uh, I mean, you would say it's a system which has only just evolving. But once we get, I mean, now we are seeing it's quite stabilizing. So I think within next 1 or 2 years, you will see that it will be quoted as a next generation system across the industry also. So I
That's
think we
wonderful
have,
to know. That's
yeah.
wonderful to know that next 2 3 years it will be at par with the best of the standards in the world over,
We are
not only in
just
India.
already, but yes, people will recognize and follow us. That's the only point I want to add.
We were all hopeful, and
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
the kind of insights you have given about the GSTN technology uh, scenario, it's quite remarkable, I must say, and I must congratulate you and your team for making this happen. It's huge amount of data, huge amount of invoices being, and real time update, as you were saying. It's remarkable indeed. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of the 2 day BFSI Finnovation Conclave. Earlier, we had seen the presence of Sri Samir Verma, who is the Special Secretary of Finance, Government of Uttar Pradesh, along with Mr. Amit Saxena, who is the CTO of RBI Innovation Hub. And now we have Mr. Bhuwan Joshi, Vice President of Enterprise Architect of GSTN. Thank you so much, Bhuwan Joshi, for joining us in the inaugural. But before we let you go, we have a small token of appreciation for you. We want to present you with the BFSI Leadership Award. And here comes the certificate of your appreciation from us, APEC BFSI Innovation Leadership Award. We are proud to recognize Mr. Bhuwan Joshi, Vice President of Enterprise Architect of GSTN, for your pioneering role in the innovation and technology leadership in the BFSI sector. It is our honor to recognize your efforts, sir. Thank you so much for joining us in the inaugural.
Thank you, Souvik, for giving us opportunity and telling outside world that we are doing great work. I mean, that's thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Take care. Goodbye. But for our audience, I would like to inform you that do join us for the next session at 11:30 a.m. today, in which we'll see industry presentation starting off of the 2 day BFSI Innovation Conclave, and also during this break, you can visit the expo area where you can see many of our partners who have put their virtual store. You can get insights there as well. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us in the inaugural. See you in the next session at 11:30 a.m. today for the industry presentation.